Are we live? Are we coming on? You are now live. What's up, everybody? By the way, when I was a kid, my brother used to go bacon, bacon, bacon. Whenever my mom would cook bacon, he would get really excited and go bacon, 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 bacon. And it's going to be a good live today because we got a Paw Patrol balloon in the house. Paw Patrol, catchy fucking theme song. What's up, Austin? Good to see you. Just a quick little announcement before we get started. I would love some direction from you guys on what you would like to talk about next, like whatever you're stuck on, challenges. Gary, good to see you, man. What you guys would like to hear more of in this space, what would be useful to you personally. So think about that for a moment, drop a comment what you'd like to hear more of, not just here on this live, but in this group in general. And we'll start making some stuff happen. Not just the cool stuff I have to share, but as well, I'd like to bring on some other cool people as well who can help you with that. Of course, we're always going to be jamming on client acquisition. I would love to hear a little more, Asan, on what you sell and where you're getting stuck in the acquisition process. All of those things. So that's it for the announcement. Let's get into the good stuff. Ways to monetize an audience, Gary. We could talk about that for an hour. That's probably a little bit of a private conversation, but I'm happy to share some stuff on that. But let's get into the questions for now, and then we'll come back to that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Love y'all fine folks. Who do we got first? We have our man Marco, who says Google Ads clients for services business. Hope everyone is well. So long story short, currently trying to get clients for Google Ads at the moment, working with a carpet cleaner who is getting results. Cold emailing other carpet cleaners explaining that I'm currently getting results for another company and requesting a chat if they need help. No replies, just wondering what you would do. Thanks. Marco also posted his message. It goes, hey, I'm sure you are busy, so I will be quick. My name is Marco, and I have helped a carpet cleaning business in Washington increase their phone calls, which resulted in appointments and completed jobs. I am certain that I can do the same for your company. Would you like more information? Thank you, Marco. Marco, my man, thank you, us. So I'm glad you like it. Marco, so I'm going to be a little harsh on this one, but only to help you. First of all, like, the message is kind of fucking boring. And deeper than that, if you actually read it, it makes two of the cardinal mistakes. Mistake number one is if you actually read it again, the message is about you, not the client. Right? So if I read that, the first message says, I'm sure you are busy. So if you're sure, who's that message about? You. You say, my name is Marco. So who's that message about? You. I am certain that I can do the same for your company. I know you're trying to tell them you can help them, but who's that message about? You. So for the most part, like, all those messages, by the way, are about you. And I'll tell you what's worked really well for me. I learned this actually from a cold calling guy named Ari Gelper. And he says that, and we all feel the need to, like, copy this, but you don't actually have to. He says, when people cold call, and cold calling and cold email have a lot of similarities. He says, there's a certain script and format they follow that indicates it's a boring-ass cold call even before they say what it is they're selling. And the script sounds like this. It goes, hello, my name is so-and-so, and I am from company XYZ, and the reason I'm calling today is because. And you already know that I'm going to try and sell you something, and it's not going to be all that exciting before I've even finished that sentence because of the way I've introduced myself. And he suggested, like, one of the things that happen is customers don't do that. Customers just say, hey, what time you guys open till? Do you guys sell the thing in the blue? They don't say, hi, my name is customer, and I'm calling from my house today, and the reason I'm calling today is can you tell me your opening hours? And so the thing about it that he made a very good point is customers get responded to always. Salespeople do not get the benefit of it. So one of the things is, Valerie Frank the Dick. Love you, girl. I was just thinking about you. We're hanging out getting some vitamin C. It's like, man, I got to hang out with some Valerie on the ocean. So anyway, if you're writing a message and it sounds like a salesperson selling some boring ass thing, you're going to get ignored. So you don't have to do this. My name is, and I am from company, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I'm messaging you today is one of the things Ari Gelper would do is just ask about problems and results. So he would say, hey, who's the person in charge of client acquisition? Who's the person who handles the marketing? Who's the marketing director? And of course, it sounds like a customer asking, so it gets through, right? So we want to ask our questions. The other thing is, the point of an outreach message, and I think a lot of people get this wrong. This was the second thing I wanted to tell you. I call it the I fuck on the first date mentality, is thinking there's a magic outreach message that's going to get them to say, want to buy it. Give me all, here's all my monies. And that's as realistic as you're going to send a message to a girl and she's going to go, I want to bang you. Right now, you just say your magic line she wants to bang. So the point of an outreach message is to open a buying conversation that moves in the direction. I usually try and get to the sale in like 3, 4, 5 messages, but I don't go for the single one, right? So the first question you want to ask is about a problem or solution. Now, I'll tell you what most agencies do wrong with it is having a not clear defined result. So in your particular case, the default mistake that everybody makes is they say more, more, more. I'm going to get you more sales and more leads and more this and more that. And it's not really quantifiable whenever more has been attained. It is far better to say, cool. It is far better to say, hey, I got another carpet cleaning guy, 3 carpet cleaning jobs in the last 48 hours. I'd like to do the same for you. Can I send you a little info on it? Than it is to just say, I'll get you more, right? More is unspecified. So the best thing you can do is to say, like, this is what I've actually done for a carpet cleaning company. But even before that, I would start the conversation very casually in like a, hey, are you guys open to taking more carpet cleaning jobs? That's it. That would be my opening message. Or whatever type of work you're getting, whether it's commercial jobs or whatever. And by the way, the type of question you ask there, like the outcome, will change the result. Like if you say to a dentist, I can get you more checkups, you'll get a different response than if you say, I can get you more teeth whitening or more braces or more, like all of those are treated differently. So I would focus on what result you've actually gotten for a carpet cleaning company. Say, are you guys taking on more blank? And then when they respond and say, yes, we are, and half the battle is just getting them to respond at all, I might say, who's the person in charge of that? And then they give me a name. And then I might say to so-and-so, I'm told you're the person. We've done this for a carpet cleaning. We've gotten 3 of these, blah, blah, blah. Can I just send you a little info about it, right? The key with that, though, is you got to be like really crystal clear about the result. It can't just be, we got booked appointments, we got blah, blah, blah. You got to be like, we sold 3 carpet cleaning jobs, 3 bedroom houses, we cleaned top to bottom. Like, you got to be very, very specific on those outcomes. The better and more specific you are, the better this shit's going to work. So I hope that's helpful to you. What you're trying to do in an opening message is just to get them to respond. And a lot of times people don't realize this. Usually the best questions for getting them to open and start that dialogue, they're yes or no questions, or like 1 or 2 word answers. So actually, I do this on our email list. When people join the email list, and you guys can see this, I just say, what does your agency do? Okay? And most people, they start that buying conversation just saying, Facebook ads, SEO, web design, right? Like it's a 1 or 2 word answer, but that's not the end of the conversation. Now we can go somewhere. Cool, I just clicked on your website. Looks like you guys do cool shit. What had you interested in coming into my world today? Right? Like, so we want to get the conversation going. And so the easiest way to do that is to have like little easy to answer questions, and we can build on that momentum based on the fact that they've responded. So like, again, we want to treat it as like the message is about you. Do you guys handle this? and open the door for in message 2, 3, 4, we can build that up. But I would check out Ari Gelper because he's going to make your life a lot easier with that, because everything he says about cold calling is true with cold emailing. Tubi, I hope I'm saying that correctly, my man. I'm sure I'm butchering your name. If the primary service is Facebook or Google Ads, what do you think my first date offer should be? I focused on the orthodontist/dentist niche, and I'm a newbie. Um, so part of this is understanding what a first date really is. I have a mentor who explains it like this. A first date really serves two functions, by the way. One is it's easy to sell. It's a lot easier to sell a first date. Like if you meet a person of the opposite sex on the street, so like if I meet a girl and I say, hey, I'd love to take you out on a first date, I got a better chance of saying yes than if I say, hey, let's hook up and be boyfriend, girlfriend for the next 12 months, which is how a lot of people approach their sales kind of problems, right? So we want to do it like kind of the same ideology. But the second reason is we can filter them. So one of the things to think about is if I could only get paid after I produced a result, what would I do? And if you really think about that, the answer to that question, that's what you should offer as a first date. Something that's like a slam dunk. And part of it is often you have to think about like who the right person is. And if you get the right person, like the whole thing will be a lot easier, because half the battle is just identifying what makes for a good client. So in the case of a dentist, we know that they want their high-end thing. They want to sell more of their like dental implants and their veneers and their cosmetic stuff. So my question to you is, if you could only get paid to produce a result doing that, what would you do? Sometimes with paid ads, those things need to be a little longer. What I've done in the past, and this may be useful to you, is like when we sold motorcycle stuff, often I couldn't use the resources the clients had because they didn't have motorcycle riders in their world. So what I did instead is I focused on like the quickest amount of time I could do to produce a result. And so I experimented with two things. One is like a 90-day first date where I'll start getting motorcycle leads into your world. And one of those is just selling the leads. And then I would say I would nurture those for a year and a half. And I'd say we can start getting you leads by the end of the day, right? So I can start generating leads. They're not going to automatically close into motorcycle cases, but I'm going to nurture them for you. So that's another way you can potentially go in for the first date. But think about that question. If I could only get paid after I produced a result, what would I do? And what's the quickest and easiest thing I would do in that scenario? Because that's going to be what makes the most sense as your first date. PJ says, I have an honest question. Do you care about your agency's profitability? Do you care about raising your margins? I'm writing copy for a financial coach for agency owners, and the make your agency more profitable seems to be falling flat. Part of that, PJ, my man, is you may be right that is a promise they don't want. But having said that, this is the generic more profitability. What does that even fucking mean, right? Like that's an abstract thing. It's not a real defined outcome. The more we can talk in terms of specific outcomes, it would be far more valuable to say, we figured out how to add an extra $5,000 a month to this $10,000 a month agency, and they didn't have anything to deliver, and the clients were happy. Would you be interested in how we're doing this? Send in just 3 emails. You see how the specifics matter in there? Just saying, like, we're going to get you more profitability, right? Like, that's missing the point. It's more is not an outcome. If you're using the word more, then it's not a defined outcome. Like that's what I'm saying. So exactly where are you increasing the profitability, and what does an agency owner have to do to experience that increased profitability? Because those things matter a great deal. Like those specifics matter, right? Like if I say, hey, you just send out these 3 emails, and we're adding an extra $5K a month, and somebody else is delivering it because it's a white label package. Like those specifics matter, right? So I don't think it's an issue if they don't want more profitability. I think it's just too generic of a promise, and it's probably just missing the mark a little bit. But I would tweak that and give it a second shot before I would pull the plug on it. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you if you want to reach out on that. Ali says, what's the easiest non-paid ads, $500 a month agency service most service businesses want? There's a lot of them, Ali. I wouldn't say there's one in particular. I'll tell you a couple of things that historically work well. One of those is anytime there's a new ad platform or a new place where people can go, Everybody's interested in getting in on the new thing. So right now that thing is TikTok ads. It won't last forever, and there will be something after TikTok. I saw for a while Snapchat was the thing, and Instagram was the thing, and even at a time Facebook was the new thing like 15, 20 years ago. But always the new thing is something you can easily sell. Social media management is probably another thing where people just like, you're just making posts on their behalf. And then I'll tell you something, if you're looking for ongoing clients that you want to stay a long time, is helping people who create content to be consistent with that, meaning you help them edit it and post it and blah, 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 and all those things. There is always a market for that. I see this a lot with lawyers as they get into the content game and then have a really hard time keeping it up. So if you're just helping them like stay on top of their posts and stay on top of the platforms and giving them like simple basic steps, and then you're taking care of the distribution, which we just, by the way, in-house do with VAs and some basic SOPs. But if you do that, like, you can always sell that in all kinds of different industries. And then, of course, like I said, what never goes out of style in any industry is identifying the highest value thing they sell and helping them sell that. You can get way more than $500 a month for that. Do that, and you won't have a hard time selling anything. Seth says, has anyone ever done or does a GMB SEO audit for a local service company? What do you include in it? What do you use to audit the account? What are your primary talking points in the audit? I'd like to start doing outreach and adding this as a lead magnet in my business. Seth, I did this for a lot of years. I actually have done, I don't know, like 500 to 1,000 SEO audits over the years. I don't do them anymore because SEO is not my primary service, and I hate doing it for clients. That's the honest to God's truth. But the principles of selling it never change. And I'll tell you, if you understand this, especially if you work with local businesses, the number one driver of the sale is the fact that they hate losing business to their competitors. Fucking hate it. Like, so if I ask a lawyer, who are your top competitors, they can always name them. This is true, by the way, whether you're working with a carpet cleaner or a dentist, especially local businesses. They know their top competitors by name, and they fucking hate them. So I'll tell you, rather than worry about tools and let me show you your numbers and this, you got this many backlinks and your H1 tag and you got a score of 62 out of 100, none of those things matter. I'll tell you the best thing you can do is fire up Loom. Pick an important keyword that your client is trying to rank for. So when I used to do a lot of this, it'd be like, hey, plastic surgery Dallas, plastic surgery New York, plastic surgery Beverly Hills, plastic surgery Atlanta, whatever, right? Like those kind of keywords, or cosmetic surgery Atlanta, whatever. And I would take a keyword and I would search, and this is me doing it on the video, and I pretend I don't know what I'm going to find, even though I already did the search before I fired up the video. And I would show who's number one, and then I would show where the client is, and I would say, hey, right now you're losing business to this competitor that you fucking hate. And that's a very, very important part of the video. You must say, you are losing businesses to this dick right here. And you can stop for a second and click on his website and go, see, this is the guy who's beating you. Going, let me tell you why that's happening. Let me tell you why he's 1 and you're 7. And then you do just a little bit of basic analysis of like, he has 1,000 backlinks and you have 400, and that's why there's a gap between you, or whatever it is. Or he's got his citations in order if you're showing a GMB, whatever. Like, just explain why there's a gap. And then, hey, I could fix this by doing blah, blah, blah. But you must show that they are currently, because what happens is most people sell what is known as future gain in the SEO world, meaning like, I'll get you to number 1 and you'll get more business and more leads. It's a later kind of proposition. A year from now, you could be number 1. But if you can establish that this problem is costing them money today, not later, not in the future, and they're losing it to somebody they fucking hate, they suddenly become very, very motivated to fix it right now. So you must, as part of your analysis, show them who you're losing to. And play dumb, act like, I don't, maybe you've heard of this person, blah, 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 and just open their website and show them a little bit of the person they're losing business to, and then talk about what you would do to close that gap. Because what happens is then you create a problem now. They're losing money now, and they didn't even know they were losing money, and now you're saying, I want to close that gap and fix it, and you'd be amazed at like how motivated they suddenly get to fix it. But that is the best audit that will sell, And you can do that in 2 minutes in a video, by the way. You just go, hey, I want to show you real quick. I'm searching cosmetic surgery Atlanta. Okay, this guy's number one. Let's just open his website. This is Dr. So-and-so. Looks like he does a lot of the same procedures as you. Here's you. You're number 7. Let me tell you why there's a gap between you. I just fired up, did a quick analysis. He's got 1,000 links. You got 400. You're about 600 behind him. So that's why he's outranking you. His SEO company's doing more work to keep him up there. That means he's every time somebody searches this keyword, they're finding him and not you. And let me tell you what I would do to fix it. It might take us 3 months, but I could get started on this today. And if you're interested in finding out a little more, here's how I work. It's the whole video. But you'll close a lot of deals like that because you've made SEO a now problem, not a future gain, as most people sell it. Like, I'll get you more leads and more patients and more business and all that. It's like my grandma voice there. It's a good grandma voice. So I hope that helps you, Seth. Ron says, I have been invited to speak at an event in February. The speaker reimbursement covers about half my expenses. I just found out that they are only giving me a half hour to speak, which does not even allow enough time for my presentation. My Q&A usually goes a minimum of 15 to 30 minutes. I do think I could do a lead-in asking for Zooms to go over details later. My concern is that attendees with any level of knowledge would know this is not enough time and not even show up. I do not want to miss an opportunity, but I do not want to waste time and energy. What does everyone think? Ron, my man, Carlos is here too, my dude. But Ron, like, I'm going to tell you, this is a scarcity mentality of approaching speaking. I'll tell you, speaking is one of the most efficient ways in all of human existence to get clients because I'll give you an example of a real life guy. I have a friend in the legal space. His name is Stephen Fairley. He's kind of the 800-pound gorilla. But he sells a ton of shit, and I've had a conversation with him on the side of the room, and I asked about speaking, and this is what he said. He said, when I first got into speaking, I did all this shit for free so I could get on stage and get the authority and credibility. Then after a while, I demanded a speaker's fee, and it started at like $10,000 to book me to speak. He says, now again, I do it for free. And he says, but the difference is because I know how to speak and close from stage, I average, and this is a writer-downer, Stephen Fairley says, I average $450,000 in sales every time I give an hour-long speech. Right? Just understand, like $450,000 for 1 hour of speaking. Right? So the value of speaking is not like your speaker's fee. It is the connections you make at scale. And the other thing is, like, I've been in a room where there's 2,000, 3,000 lawyers looking back at me, and you can close, like, simultaneously, sometimes dozens or even hundreds of deals from the room who will all come to you later, sometimes in the next week or over the next few days and things like that. So it's really, really key to understand it's not about your fucking speaking fee, right? Like, and the other thing is, I would tell you, record the damn thing, because I made that mistake many times. Record the damn thing because you can use that in your, like, content and your ads and whatever. Like, there's lots of places you can use that establish you as an authority. The second thing I'm going to tell you is just shorten the damn thing, man. Like, why do you need 45 minutes to get to the point? That is the sign to me of an inefficient talk. Is like, don't make it any longer than it needs to be. Is figure out how you can harp on, like, one important detail. Of course, like, anything that's a deep topic like SEO or, I don't know, running Facebook ads, you're not going to be able to explain the whole gamut of things in 30 minutes, but you can explain enough that you can demonstrate to people you know what they're talking about and give them a way to be interested. One of the things that I found that works really, really well, and I've seen a few good speakers do this that are smarter than me, is just at the bottom of your slides, just say, like, if you're interested in getting our free lead magnet, text 123 to ABC and or ABC to 123, and they can text in the middle of the presentation, and then you use your presentation as a lead magnet. But there is no way you should not be able to like move the needle in 30 minutes if you're doing this right. So you don't want to think about it as like hey, I'm only getting half my travel costs to speak. I would speak for free over and over and over because I know that I'm going to get 10, 20, 30 deals out of the room. And sometimes some of those deals don't automatically come to fruition. Sometimes those same people will come 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, but if they hadn't seen you on stage, they wouldn't know who you are. So that's my way of saying, like, figure out how to make a quality presentation, focus on the controllables and less on, like, I need to get my speaker feedback, and you'll close some deals, and you'll have a really killer presentation that can be reused. Scott says, bad time to start trades agency. Hello, I'm in Australia and thinking of starting a digital agency for building trades like plumber and electricians. However, it is good times for those trades at present with more work than they can manage. This leads me to think it might be a bad time to try to market them digital services and so a bad time to start a new agency. What has been your experience in this situation? Thanks for your feedback. Scott, brother, here's the deal. Yes, trades are busy, and yes, trades are generally struggling for a lot of help. So, what most people do, in my opinion, incorrectly, is they show up in the door and they say, more leads, more. And if a guy's got 3 months worth of work and is busier than fuck, that's not an appealing promise. So, this is true regardless of what niche, and I've beaten this story up, but it's true. Is there are always gaps in the market, things they need, unsolved problems. Every problem solved creates a new one. Like, for example, when people like get good at closing with Loom videos, then suddenly they have to figure out how to onboard, and they have to figure out how to like bring on employees, and they have to figure out how to deliver it. Like, every problem solved creates a new one. So if you understand this, instead of trying to sell people what they don't want, this is the story, by the way. My hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, there are two things they have a fuck ton of. Thing number one is pizza places. For some reason, we have really good pizza. It makes no sense. It's a shitty factory city, but we have some of the best pizza on earth. I would compare it to New York City. Honestly, it's that good. And we have an abundance of auto body shops, like guys who fix cars, like way too many of them. And the reason, I presume, is because most of these guys start a business because they want to. They say, I don't want to work for a boss. I don't want to do this shit anymore. So they go start a business. But it's not really something the market needed. The market didn't need another auto body shop in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. So this happened. I was at my brother's house, I don't know, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He ordered some Chinese food. The Chinese driver, when he was pulling out, was watching his phone as he was driving. He hit my brother's car. My brother's car rolled backwards into my girlfriend's car, and the tailpipe went right through the front of the car. So we had a Volkswagen Beetle with a hole from a tailpipe. It's a pain in the ass to get the whole thing fixed and all that. And they weren't even going to give us a discount on the Chinese food, man. Tough times, right? So what ended up happening is we wanted to get this Volkswagen Beetle fixed up, and we had a couple of other little kind of odds and ends we wanted to get fixed up with the car. And we went to like 4 or 5 different auto body shops, and they said, I don't do Volkswagen Beetles. They have all kinds of specialty parts. We just don't touch Volkswagen. In North America, it's just too hard. There was one guy in the city who specialized in Volkswagens, and he was busier than a motherfucker. No ads, no funnels, no anything other than the fact that he was the only guy who worked on Volkswagens. And he was busy because his business was created out of a market need. It wasn't created out of his own desire to start a business, like, I just want to start an auto body shop. No, it was like, nobody else works on Volkswagen. I'm going to be the Volkswagen guy. So there's always underserved pockets of the market. So this is my way of saying, if you're going to get into trades, do not fucking sell them leads like everyone else unless you want to struggle, unless you want to make your life hard. Okay? What the trades need more of is high-end work so they can do less busy work, right? Like, this is true in every niche. If I bring a lawyer a $100,000 case, it's more valuable than if I bring him 20 $1,000 cases, right? Like, it's just math. He's going to make a whole lot more money. And yes, the $100,000 case is probably more work than a $1,000 case, but it's not that much more work. So this is true in the trades, is they struggle with a lot of like low-end busy work. So even though he may be booked out 3 months, he's working his ass off and not getting paid that much. So like, he probably is way more interested. So like, we got a guy in our mastermind, smart dude, my man Mark, and Mark is helping them get big kitchen jobs, right? I'm going to help you get a $40,000 kitchen. Well, 2 or 3 $40,000 kitchens is more valuable than 2 months of busy work. So one way is you say, I'm going to help you get bigger jobs, and you must specify what kinds of bigger jobs you're going to actually get them. Again, be specific with that thing. Another thing is you could be like a headhunter and help them find help. Another thing is you may be able to show them how to do what is like a white label. You may be able to say, hey, I can get someone else to go fulfill on all that work you're backed up on, and you can just share profits with me, right? Like, why make these people wait 3 months when we can do it today and you can get paid today. So there's always underserved parts of the market. You got to spend a few hours listening to these people and see what they're really stuck on and see what's really going on and have a few real conversations if you can. And then what you'll find is if your marketing is created out of a real market need and you're the Volkswagen guy, you'll never have a hard time selling it. So why most people struggle is they go, hey, I want to start an auto body shop. And then they don't understand why it's hard because, well, there's 100 other auto body shops and they're all competing on price, right? So we want to be driven by market needs. If you do that, there's always something that these people could use. Josh says, what are you tracking in your agency as your primary KPIs? Oh, this is a great question, my dude. This is an advanced question. For those of you guys who are not at this level, let me give you a little insight into where Josh is coming from. So in the 5 stages of agency growth in my old book here, this bad boy, there are the 5 stages of agency growth. In stage one starts where your agency is a one-man or one-girl show. It's you, me, right? Like there's one person, you're the CEO, you're the janitor, and you basically just have to figure out how to get clients. There's no business till you figure out how to get clients. But once you do that, you reach stage 2 where all of a sudden you're trying to deliver on these promises and you're bringing in help. So you're starting to either have VAs or freelancers or white label, whatever, but you're all of a sudden bringing in help, and hiring becomes this new challenge because you don't know how to necessarily get good people that can take all this work off your plate. You don't know about systems. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. Then you eventually reach stage 3, which I call the manager stage. And a manager stage is when you no longer involved in actually doing anything day to day, and yet you are managing people to do the day to day. And so these people, like employees, are coming to you constantly saying, hey boss, can you help me with this? Oh, the software didn't renew, can you do this? And like all day long you're interrupted with things. And if you're running that managerial stage and you've never done it before, usually the first time through it's just straight chaos. And it's chaos because you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing. And so what happens is employees bring you 100 things and you treat those 100 things like they're all equal, and they're not. So the way out of that stage is you have to identify like 4 to 8 numbers that define your entire business, also known as KPIs, which stand for key performance indicators. And what happens is when you get to that stage, if you're really smart about it, you can get a report in the morning, and in 10 minutes you can know the entire health and prosperity of your business. And so you're looking at really basic things, and I would say there's only really 3 kinds of numbers you're looking at. One of those is related to like sales and marketing, like leads, how many sales did we make? If you're doing appointments, how many appointments do we get? Then you're looking at fulfillment numbers, like how long are we taking to get back to clients? How are we doing on this? How are our rankings? If you're doing SEO, what are our costs per lead if you're running like lead generation campaigns? Shit like that. And then the third kind of number that you want to know is like related to employees. How productive we've been, how many people do we have, how are we doing on fulfillment, how's our salary, how's our cost. And if you look at like 2 to 3 numbers, almost always you only need 2 to 3 numbers in each to know how your business is doing. So like on the sales and acquisition, I can look at how many leads, how many appointments, how many of those we close, and that's it. Like I know how our business is doing acquisition wise. On the fulfillment side, I can look at like how long is it taking to get clients results, when was our last message to them, and like health of that relationship, which is not always easy to remember. But I like Josh Nelson's got a really kind of like thing I like where it's like a green, yellow, red kind of system, like green being they're really happy with us, yellow is like I think they're happy but there's a few complaints kind of thing, and red is like we're in danger of losing this client. But if you look at that, what ends up happening, why this is so key is because you can open up a spreadsheet that somebody else has made for you, like a virtual assistant, and you can look at 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 numbers, and you can know how your entire business is doing in 5 minutes. Now, this doesn't automatically solve all your problems, by the way, but it tells you, hey, I notice our appointments have suddenly fallen off a cliff, or hey, we're not closing any calls. What's happening? And you can say, oh, we hired a new sales guy and he's not up to speed yet, or whatever, our offer has kind of outgrown the market, or whatever the reason is. You can look at that and then you can start solving that problem. What happens is when you first get to the manager stage, it's very reactive. People say, "Hey, boss, this isn't working. I need this. I need a logo," and blah blah blah. And if you treat all those like they're equal, which they're not, you won't move the business forward. You'll just be busy fighting fires all day long. Ask me how I know. And what happens is when you start to get proactive and identify these are the key performance indicators of the business, you can go, "Hey, that number there doesn't make sense. That seems low. What are we going to do about it?" And you can call a meeting, or you can bring in outside help, or you can do things to solve that problem. You might have a meeting and bring all 12 people on your staff together and say, or 30 people, or however many you have, and say, "Hey, guys, I noticed like this whole number right here like is falling off a cliff. If we don't fix that, the business isn't going to work. Let's get all hands on deck and figure out how we can solve this problem together and work it and come up with solutions together so we can move things forwards again." If you understand that, you can actually manage an entire business in 10 minutes. Now, having said that, when you go through the 5 stages, what you'll find is often you didn't realize that you were going to get to that point, so you never planned for it. But you can actually do this in stage 1. You can write down your key performance indicators in stage 1 when it's just you, and you can actually identify the whole health of your business. And you can build systems and processes even before you have employees. And then what will happen is the gap from going from stage 1 to 2 and 3 will get way faster because you'll be able to hire people quickly. You'll be able to train them. You'll be able to have systems. You'll be able to manage it a lot quicker. But usually it takes going through the process once, struggling through it, or having a mentor who can walk you through it, like somebody who's been there, and then like redoing it. But when you get to that level, you can like manage the business very, very easily. And the key to making that all work is key performance indicators. Like I said, as for your original question, there's really 2 to 3 you need. Sales and acquisition, 2 to 3 key numbers. Delivery and fulfillment, 2 to 3 key numbers. How your team is doing, 2 to 3 key numbers. That's it. That's your KPIs for running. For most people, you can get all the way to about $5 million a year knowing about those 8 numbers. Some of you guys will go beyond that, which is really fucking wild to me. I have no goals of going beyond that as a lifestyle agency. That's badass. But if you do that, like, you're going to really, really kick some ass. I think that's all the pre-questions we got. I don't know if Gary or Cole or Carlos, any of you guys got any other questions. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day here. Just while we're on the subject, I mentioned a little announcement. I'd love a little feedback from you guys. I mentioned we got some acquisition and some outreach and things like that, like just getting clients in the door consistently. We just did something in our mastermind, which I called my greatest traffic strategy after this, or traffic strategy ever inside the Wolfpack. And it's identifying like niche buying audiences, warming them up strategically with certain ads, and then running like really simple to say yes to first date offers, and you can like close those things at scale. Like our man here, this is one of the Paw Patrol dudes. I think his name is Sky, but I don't know. Any of you guys with kids know who our man here is. That is from my 4-year-old Heidi's birthday party I'd say a month ago or so. But that's all I got for you guys this week. I hope you guys are kicking ass. Like, today's the day. Plan your week. Go kick some ass. Go make your goals happen in your dreams. I love that you guys do this in the face of a recession and kicking ass. Asan says, can you please mention the guy you talked about in the beginning? His name is Ari Gelper. I will type that, my man. He is a guy who talks about cold calling, is the guy's name. But everything he says about cold calling is true of cold emailing. And if you listen to this guy, which I did years ago, your cold emailing will get better almost instantaneously because it just works, right? It's like they want to talk about their problems. They want to talk about things they're doing. They don't care about you. You don't need to introduce yourself. You don't need to do what every other salesperson does. You'll have a better system in general. So that's all we got for this week, my guys and my dudettes. Much love, much appreciation for you guys, and may the force be with you.